Hey everyone, RogueGold here. Welcome back to The Division 2, and today we are back with yet another Descent comm video. Now, it has been a few weeks since we've done one of these, and boy, do we have some things stacked up to discuss, including the introduction/reintroduction of a big new villain, deep cut tie-ins between the Division Heartland and the Division 2, the return of a long-forgotten lore location. There's a lot. Now, as I've said in all of these past videos, I typically like to wait until the end of the season to recap all of this. I will still do a recap for all of these at the end of the season. That's in just a few weeks' time from now. But like the past few videos, I just couldn't help but dive into some of this as we are getting it. So that's what we're doing today. As usual, I'm going to give you your spoiler warning right at the top here. This video will include spoilers for all of the current Division 2 story, as well as the Broken Dawn novel, which we don't frequently talk about, but that might be a hint towards what we're going to be discussing. So, without further ado, let's go. Alright, so we've got 3 comms in total to go over. That's how many have released since my last one of these. And I could try to set this first one up, but I think I'm just going to play it. Otherwise, we're going to get lost in the weeds with all of the different setup and context I could give you here. Overall, this follows the same plotline centering around Silver Creek from the Division Heartland, a mutated virus, the hidden bunker, Keener, Melanie Hoskins, Calvin McManus, all of that. If all of that leaves your head spinning and you're like, how did we get here? I will leave some links in the description to try and catch you up. But take a listen to this first comm.
We have a situation at the lab. Hope that you and your crew of geniuses could help us out.
You have your own crew of geniuses, don't you?
I do, but they're panicking. We've had an outbreak. The whole lab is infected. Geniuses and grunts, doesn't matter. We're all fucked.
I'm sorry to hear that, Donovan, but you should have the resources to handle an outbreak.
That's a thing. They think it's mutated. It's the poison all right, but it's different. They're afraid. We need help. If you could just talk to them and give us some more med kits.
I'm sorry, Don, but that's not possible. We don't have much left. After the outbreak at the detention center and what happened on Roosevelt Island, we don't have anything to spare. Let alone any way to get any supplies to you. Sarah's basically abandoned. Why do you think I'm here?
Fuck.
I am sorry. You have your lab. I hope you're able to figure something out.
Yeah, me too.
Alright, so some big things to go over here. Firstly, the main character talking, Donovan Tower. Does that name ring any bells? It should, and it shouldn't. The relevancy is that in the Division Heartland reveal trailer, or the cinematic intro trailer, I think they called it back from Division Day 2023, that trailer confirmed that the central antagonist and villain in that game was going to be a character known as Killian Tower. For a short backstory recap here, Tower was a Division agent in Boston. They were doing their stuff, he had a cell with him. Then out of nowhere, he all of a sudden goes and murders his entire cell, save for one member who was not present at the time. She finds the scene, is horrified, and begins to follow his trail and finds that he books it from Boston all the way to Silver Creek. Upon which she arrives, calls for backup, and that's when we would have arrived to try and solve the mystery. So the big question is, why is this character named Donovan instead of Killian? Is it possible that this is like a sibling of him? Sure. My guess is that they just renamed the character. If so, this is pretty big to finally get an introduction to Tower as a character. Of course, he was going to be prevalent in the Division Heartland. Might he stick around in the Division universe's lore? I don't know. Maybe, if he was set to be this big new villain. Another big note here is that he's talking to Harlan Lloyd, a name which might sound vaguely familiar. He was the outcast strategist that us and Agent Kelso apprehend at the Potomac Event Center back in the Division 2's initial campaign. So yeah, that's another pretty far-flung reference. I feel like I'm connecting red strings on a corkboard here. But Tower is talking to Lloyd about being infected by a mutated green poison. This also fits in with Heartland's story setup. I'll see if I can find the clip of the trailer where Mackenzie Reed, the Division agent, asks, why is the virus different here?
I wasn't prepared for what I found. I wanted answers, but all I got was more questions. Why is the virus different here?
And that was a big part of the Division Heartland's marketing, was this idea that the virus would play a big role in gameplay, right? It would mutate, move around, you had to kind of avoid it. And so this seems to be coming up in the lore as well. This also kind of confirms that the lab and bunker that Keener sends Hoskins to, and that Cal is monitoring, and he was talking to that Agent Zabala figure that we covered in the other video. This bunker or lab was developing broad-spectrum antivirals to try and combat the green poison. That itself, in my mind, sparks a million other theories, right? Why was Cal involved with this? Seemingly nefariously, if he wanted Zabala to wipe all the data there, if he didn't want Hoskins to find it. Could this at all be related to the Cabal that we learned about in the recent Year 6 Season 1 finale, right? The kind of like shadow organization that Natalia might be a part of that's pulling the strings from behind the scenes. We certainly know what happened to other labs that were developing broad-spectrum antivirals. That's where April Kelleher's husband, that's what he was tied up in. We've covered that in a lot of past videos. The one in Ann Arbor from the Broken Dawn novel. And don't worry, we'll talk about that even more in a minute. So yeah, already there's there's a lot to think about, but for now, let's keep moving.
For your sake, this better work.
Work is a relative term, but you'll live.
I don't like being your guinea pig, Kane.
We don't have any other options. I'm sorry, but this mutation of the virus, it's not responding to the antivirals. I wish I had more time to perfect a broad spectrum, but I'm sorry, we're out of time.
I don't think you're sorry. I think you're glad we're infected.
Donovan.
Another opportunity for you to test your research. It's fine, Liam. I get it. We're out of time. There's no other way. But I'm warning you, if I lose even one of my people from your experiment, your death will not be quick.
Donovan, this will keep us alive. It will keep the virus in check. But I need live variola chimera samples to continue the work, to actually make a cure.
If I live, I'll get you those samples. You just get those auto-injectors ready. We'll be your little pigs. But if you fuck this up, you will unleash the wolf.
Okay, so a bit less to discuss with this one. Obviously, this is just furthering that same plotline. Donovan's condition is obviously worsening with this new strain of the green poison. This character of Liam Kane is trying to fix it. To my recollection, we don't know a Liam Kane from anywhere in the lore. Maybe this is planned to be another character in the Division Heartland. But this final comm is where things get quite juicy. Take a listen.
How close are you to finishing your broad-spectrum antiviral?
Mr. Tower, I'm sure you're well aware that project is a matter of national security and you do not have the proper clearance.
Highly classified, I understand. But I don't have time to deal with red tape bullshit. We got our own antiviral in development, but that shit is going to kill us sooner or later.
Oh, well, if you have anything at all, you're in a better position than 90% of the country.
Fuck that. We need live virus samples of the unmutated green poison, and we need them yesterday. Without them, the geniuses here can't do the tests they need.
Oh, I am so sorry we can't help you. Our work here is our only priority. Oh, I do recommend you reach out to DCD headquarters.
You know what? Fuck you and fuck your lab.
Alright, so as we can see by the comm name there, Donovan Tower is talking to a member of the team in Ann Arbor. Now again, Ann Arbor is relevant because of the Broken Dawn novel. This is where April Kelleher goes after her escape from New York. She's kind of following the trail of her husband's work and legacy. In that novel, we see it play out where she is tailed by a division agent who's actually informing for the Black Tusk, and because of that, he reports on what's happening and the lab ends up getting raided. I believe that event happens later in the timeline from when this comm is happening, since the lab is still intact. I think this should be happening prior to February because that's when Hoskins was going to Silver Creek, at which point all of this had already happened. It gets confusing, I know. But then yeah, I believe Broken Dawn is around April or May, so it would be after this point in time. It's very interesting to me that this woman's voice isn't shown. That's very reminiscent of the event we saw play out in the Year 5 Season 1 finale, where that figure was speaking to Mari, telling her to wait and hide for us to basically rescue her. It brought up a lot of questions, and those persist here. You know, why don't they want us to know this person's name? I don't fully know. They certainly had a very funny attitude and temper with Tower. I thought that was amusing. But yeah, overall, this sparks, as usual, many, many questions. For one, why is Donovan so invested in these labs' progress? Is it simply because of his own condition, or does he, actually care about trying to fix the green poison? My other big question, does he die? When Hoskins gets to the lab later on in the timeline, I believe she reports to Keener that all of the people from the lab scattered and died. Now, it's very possible that her information was inaccurate, but is it possible that Donovan actually doesn't make it out of this? It seems like he was a big new character that they were going to be setting up, so it would be a shame to lose him that fast. But yeah, especially given the name change on him, at least assumedly, I'd be very curious to know what kind of the new backstory or motivation for him is. It seems like they shifted things a little bit from that original Heartland intro trailer. But yeah, folks, that's mostly what we've got now. We've got 2 more comms to go for this season. I'm certainly very interested to see where things wrap up here. And as I said before, once that's done, I will of course make a recap for the entire season and consolidate everything into one video. But that's all we've got for now, folks. That is a look at some of the more recent Descent comms, focusing on Killian, now Donovan Tower, Ann Arbor, and a lot of other interesting things. I would love to hear your thoughts on all of this. What do you think about the, like I said in the intro, introduction/reintroduction of Tower as a villain? What do you think about the tie-ins to the Division 2 with Harlan Lloyd, with the Broken Dawn novel in Ann Arbor? And what do you think is going on with all of these labs and the overall plot behind it? Is it tied to something more nefarious like the Cabal? Whatever you're thinking, I would love to hear it down below. If you did end up enjoying the video and you want to stay in the loop on further lore breakdowns and everything else for The Division 2, then I hope you will consider clicking that subscribe button if you're not already. We would love to have you around. But yeah, that's going to do it for me today, folks. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Rogue Gold. Ow.